Well, welcome everyone or anyone who's on. Hopefully we have some people here to entertain us and conversate and ask questions. And hopefully, since we're both new at this, we can navigate how to find those questions and answer them while we're on here. But if not, we're happy to go and do another live later as well. We just wanted to say welcome to our Relax with Rise. I'm Harmony Borden with Rise Capital Investments. We have a fund that we have, a diverse fund here, and I can get into all of that. But I also have my special guest here, AKA brother from another mother, Matt Wertz.
Hello.
And Matt and I have known each other for, I don't know, 15 plus years now. Back when his cheeks were chubbier than
they are now. Yeah. True story.
And he had a full head of hair.
Yes, I did. I did have
hair. Yeah. So a little quick background. I did casework with the family programs with the National Guard, where I was contracted for 13 years, and I managed the state for the last 6 or 7 years I was there. Which when I first started was during first deployment for Maui, and second deployment. First deployment is when I started volunteering. And just so happened, my office was right next to the recruiters, where they were just having so much fun every day, kept me entertained when the troops were away. So that's, in a nutshell, quickly what I did. I did it for all branches of service and primarily worked with the Air and Army Guard. That was who we had primarily on island anyways. And then, so Matt, can you give a little quick background of who you are and what you did?
Well, I did 23 years in the Army. I just retired. Woohoo! I did 20 years of my Army career in recruiting. I did it from all the way from the entry level all the way up into the marketing director, as well as being the officer strength manager, and becoming a warrant officer later on in the end. So, in a nutshell, that's all I've done. All I know is recruiting. I know sales. And I know marketing. It's funny, I learned all of that in the Army. I lived on Maui. I'm originally from Oahu. I lived on Maui for 7 years. I bought a property out there, originally from Ewa Beach, Hawaii. Transplant to Mililani.
So, living large in Mililani.
Living large in Mililani. Small town boy, you know. Ruthless world in Oahu.
Yeah, well, I guess I should say I was on Maui from high school, grew up there, and spent the last 30 years. And 2 years ago, I moved to Utah, and my husband wanted to retire and leave his corporate life. And I was loving what I was doing. Like, it was easy to get up and go to work every day with the individuals I got to work with. And I'm being tapped, so pause for a second.
Something's wrong with your volume. I can hear him. You can't hear you.
I don't know. I have my mic and I'm hosting it, so I don't know why you can't hear me.
Yeah, we can hear Matt. Matt's fine. He's come through okay. I can't hear you.
Do I have to move the mic closer to me?
I can hear you.
I think that was the problem the ladies had the last live. You can hear me okay, right?
Yes.
Okay. Are you getting comments that you can't hear me?
Yeah, but I'm listening. I can't hear you. I can only hear him.
I don't know how to change that. I'm sharing my tab.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's loud enough for the recording. We can run back and watch this. But okay, so real quick, so we moved to Utah 2.5 years ago. I'm still very dialed into Maui and being back home. I go back multiple times a year. And we came here and said, what do? Retire and do nothing, which would drive us both crazy, and we drive each other crazy, or do we find something to do? And real estate is what we wanted to do. We've always had some kind of interest in it, always had our own properties and did our own DIY. And when we first got here, we thought, I think what the average person thinks when it comes to real estate investing, which is you're going to get your long-term buy and holds and rent them out, and maybe some fix and flips. You buy them, fix them up, add some value, and turn around and sell them. And a lot of HGTV back then and thought I was gonna have my husband be Chip Gaines and do the flips while I come in like Joanna Gaines and point to him and the moving guys where I want things. And quickly figured out it doesn't work so well that way, especially after us not working together or living together for over 20 years because he was on Oahu. And it's just not the work that we wanted to do. And started going to our local real estate investor meetups and meeting people and trying to figure out what niche, because there's a lot of shiny objects in investing, what niche we wanted to focus on and where we'd be good at it. And being in front of people, getting in a room of crowded people was always easy for me. Him being the analyzer, it's always easier for him to look at the details of something. And while we're meeting people, and we had capital we came in to Utah with, of course, and he quickly met somebody and said, well, if you don't know what to do yet and you have money, will you lend it to me while I do this fix and flip and earn some money on that? So we met up with, I gotta say, real estate is probably the most friendliest, open communities where they share knowledge and share their tricks of the trade. At least here in Utah and everywhere else I've met so far, they are quick to share everything with you because there's so much out there and there's still a need for homes everywhere. That once you dial in your niche, it's easy to kind of stick with it. So we quickly sat down with some of the capital raisers and lenders here in Utah, and they were really nice to share all their information with us. And so we started lending and quickly discovered that being the bank is one of the things we enjoy most because it's very passive and it's literally you're being the bank on these properties. So we can dive into that another time and the how-tos of all of that. But I wanted to get Matt on here because, of course, what's near and dear to Chris and I is our service members, and being that both of our fathers were veterans, and it's something that, a lot of us have somebody in our family somewhere. And I think it's a community that isn't given enough knowledge on how to best utilize their benefits and how they can leverage the benefits. You have the typical, which they learn, you should do this and you should do that and all of that, but the importance of it and how it can help you later down the line. So we wanted to dive into that because I think I've learned a lot, and I know Matt has learned a lot since that he could have, should have done sooner. So with this, we'll just quickly go into BAH and the COLA and what that looks like for a service member.
Yeah, so the BAH is, it's obviously, it's tax-free. That's what everyone's allowed. BAH varies based on where you're living. So costs can fluctuate, but no matter what, based on your rank is normally what you should be able to afford. So obviously the BAH would be higher in Oahu. Right now in Oahu, it's it's like over $3,000. So and that $3,000 should be used for a mortgage versus living on post. And you can buy a house using the pay your mortgage. Obviously in Utah, it'll be a little bit cheaper because cost of living is cheaper, and it goes up with rank.
Right.
So believe it or not, there are people that don't even use it. So
I know.
Yeah, it's crazy. So now along with the BAH, you get COLA too. COLA, it's not, you can use it for whatever you want. You can apply it to your mortgage as well, and that also varies per state. But utilizing the BAH,
real quick, in case we have we have some service member spouses who maybe don't understand all of that. They know that they get a BAH, but they don't understand what does BAH and COLA stand for.
BAH is the basic housing allowance, and COLA is cost of living allowance.
Good. So, because I know we have sometimes the dependents of the service member who don't quite understand it, what it is, and maybe they have the time to help their service member understand all of this better, to how to leverage it if they're the ones watching and the service member isn't actually watching. So especially for those married couples out there, and I get this a lot for the active duty side where the wives are, they can't really concentrate on a career. What can they do from home because they move often or they're with the kids and things like that.
Right.
So this is good. Okay, let's quickly move into the VA tax claims. how does a VA claim work?
Okay, so VA claims is a huge one. So I didn't start working on this till later on in my career because you are under the impression that you shouldn't go to the doctor, you shouldn't be hurt, those type of things that would hurt your career, which is totally incorrect. So later on, 2 years down the road from retirement, I started going and working on my health. My health is important, right? We can't do anything without our health. So little did I know, lo and behold, is you get paid for each claim. So I'm in the process of claiming all my stuff prior to my retirement. And I had no idea the amount of money they give you for your service after you've been injured. And people, you don't know because you're so taught in the Army to just, you know, suck it up and drive on. Nothing hurts. You're stronger than your body is. But the VA claim itself, I'm potentially going to get 100% VA. Okay. What that amounts to based on my dependents is $4,200 a month tax-free for the rest of my life. So that's a crazy amount. And that's not tied to Hawaii. That's tied to anywhere in the US. So the crazy part about that is because of inflation right now is so crazy, we just got a raise, 8.7. So as life goes on, inflation goes up, so will your amount. So it's pretty crazy.
That's crazy. And that is something that you did see, especially with the younger soldiers. They don't want to go to the doctors. They don't want to deal with any of that. And it's made to believe that there's so much paperwork that it's almost like a punishment because of the process. And it is a lengthier process for those who are part-time doing service and working full-time and they have their families. So it can be a little daunting, but it can be huge towards the end of your career when you, like you said, you waited till the end and it becomes harder to get through the process. Where if you did it all during those moments of those injuries or anything like that.
Right.
Especially with the first deployments and when I first came on, you didn't see it since Vietnam, where the soldiers became veterans at 18 years old because they're so young and already off to deployments. Right. And they were coming back and not understanding. And it's hard. I mean, for any age, but for these 18 to 21-year-olds that are already veterans and not knowing all of this, if they could figure this out now, they can have so much more leverage later in their life when they really need it.
Yeah, you're right. It's just like you're talking about education about real estate. It's the same thing with benefits. If you're not educating yourself on your military benefits, it's the same. I mean, you can leverage it all throughout. You can start earlier. Like you said, if I knew what I knew now, would have been wealthier earlier. you know what I mean?
Right.
So, yeah.
It's like that for with real estate for me. If I would have known what I know now,
right,
I would own a lot more and I would have sold other things and kept the rest.
yeah, exactly.
Okay, so we have here how to strategically plan for transitioning out of the military. And, you know, we have all of those veterans I referred to that were veterans so young. A lot of them are getting ready to exit, and all of these young soldiers are no longer young soldiers. So those are the ones that we want to help them cultivate that multiple income streams. What would that look like for someone in your position? Because you just did this.
Yeah, so for me, I'm a buy and hold person. But recently what I was doing is I have a property in Maui that I was going to sell and do a 1031 exchange and buy 2 properties, right? So the rental income. As far as transitioning out, I mean, that's just, you know, increasing more streams of income, right? Retirement, VA, rentals, those type of things. But on the transition out, what you got to realize is you're so used to the government paying you, right? There's so much opportunity out there. But while you're in, you should work on getting your licenses, because a lot of the licenses while you're on active duty, they'll pay for it. So your real estate license, your life insurance license, whatever the case may be, you do that, and you can work on remote jobs so that when you do transition out, you already have multiple streams of income coming in. So you're not just starting from scratch. And the cool thing about now is there's so many remote positions. Sorry, go ahead.
I think for a lot of, no, I was going to say for some of the spouses as well. One of the things I learned coming here, I wasn't going to come into real estate when we first moved here. I was going to go back and work with the military. And I started to kind of think about it. And I was like, wait, my husband's going to go and start up his own business and do this. And he's going to end up partnering with other people. And all of this time, we've been working for other people and getting frustrated with it. I know his strengths. I know my strengths. I had confidence in what he's always done. And I figured, I need to learn this. I need to learn how to do this. And if he's going to go and do it on his own, what better partner would he have than his wife, who, yes, we have, you know, those obstacles of learning to work together, live together, be married together and work together, fun stuff.
Yeah.
But I figured it would only make sense if we could do it together. And I was also that wife who didn't pay attention on how to buy a house. I had no idea. He kept telling me to learn and understand it. And I would just sign the paper and say, no, I trust what you're doing. And that was it. I always said I had those blindfolds on because I spent my time and energy concentrating on other things with the kids and whatnot. But learning what I know now, it's the same thing. What I could have, should have done sooner. So for even the military spouses, especially those who, you know, they're moving around a lot, getting to understand these things. And not always do you have to have a license to do real estate investing. We learned quickly that if you have a pair of individuals doing it, partnering, spouses or business partners, one can have a license while the other one doesn't have to have a license. That way you're not so restricted by the license in some cases where you don't need it. So those are other things to look into as well, but to definitely start navigating the multiple income streams. And while you have somebody paying for those certificates and those licenses, it's definitely best to utilize them.
Yeah, definitely.
And working remotely because they can do it from literally from anywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the things we're working on now, right? Is I want to build a team back home to help educate and get this information back to everyone in Hawaii. So partnering up, which is one of the things we're doing. And I have another agent in Maui and working to build that team as well to get as much education as we can out there. Rent is so high everywhere, but in Hawaii, period, housing, cost of living, rent is very high. So getting them to learn how to buy and use that allowance to pay for their own mortgage and then turn around and pay their own mortgage rather than someone else's is always best. Which we'll dive into that in a little bit here when we get into the VA loans, but help me explain SGLI and BGLI for insurance terms.
Okay, this is a big one for me because they don't explain this to you when you join. So when you join, you get that SGLI, which is your service group life insurance, right? They tempt you with the cheap payment of $26 a month, right? But it's term insurance, so which is it doesn't go any further than 500,000. Okay, not knowing that I was probably going to get 100% disability. Now that I'm getting out, no one will insure me, right? Only what I've had previously, other than my SGLI. And this is a huge one because you want to take care of your body, but at the same time, they won't insure you with your life insurance. What I'm saying is you should get civilian life insurance earlier. One, the premium is cheaper. Two, you can increase it. And whole life is better, index, universal life, and all that is better. So right now, because no one will insure me as far as life insurance on the outside of the military, I have to continue with VGLI, which is the Veterans Group Life Insurance. Okay. So like I stated earlier, 500,000, that's all I can get. But every 5 years, it goes up. So right now, when I retire, I got to pay $50 a month, which isn't bad. But by the time I'm age 65, my payment goes to $1,500 a month, right? But I'm still only at 500,000. Okay. What people always forget is, you know, we buy our house at 500,000 in Hawaii. Now it's 1.5 million, right? And the whole point of life insurance is to cover whatever debt and give to your kids and your family, the protection and all that. So now I got to pay 1,500. If I did that earlier, I would have $1 million coverage at like $200 a month. So that's one thing you should always look into as a service member. You really got to look into that. Yeah.
And that's something to note too. We started this, and this is all from our own knowledge and experience from what we've dealt with. Definitely anything that we're saying on here that is worked for you, or we've heard that has worked for others, any individual needs to go and refer to their legal, their tax CPAs, and their insurance individuals to try to find what works best for them and what's going to help their situation.
Right.
Because I mean, I'm a licensed realtor here. I always, and before I used to always say I have my driver's license, my motorcycle license, and now my real estate license. So
Yeah.
I'm not an attorney or a CPA or anything like that, but
Yeah.
I think it's important for them to explore those options and to look at, and don't just get with the first one that you hear about. And we tell this to our investors, even with our funds. Just because you heard us pitch something and you hear it in that moment, don't just dive in because it sounds great. I'm not saying that it's not great, but you want to align yourself with the ones you're going to buy into these plans and set yourself up with. And I always say you're building your team to make sure that you align with their integrity and what they're representing and who they are, and do your due diligence. Look into what their background looks like, what their profession is, to make sure that it's going to align with them. And that goes with anything in life that you put yourself into, especially when you're putting your money into it. And that's one of the things we want to really express to people. You work hard for your money. Like, you bust your butt for your money. So to find ways to have your money work for you, that's what we're doing today. That's the key out there. It's finding ways to have your money work hard for you. Okay, so we have the big ones, right? The VA loans and TSP we want to dive into. And VA loans, of course, we've heard about it. And I think, even if I recall, when I started to hear about it more in Maui, I had never heard about it before that. Only in the mainland. I never really heard about it in the islands about people utilizing the VA loans back, 15 years ago or anything like that, as much as they are now. But there's still a lot of misguided or not enough information out there for them to understand how they can leverage this VA loan for them. So do you want to tell us a little bit of what you know and how you use it?
Yes. This VA loan is one of the biggest benefits that any service member can have. So how I used it was, I purchased my first home in Maui, no down payment, right? So the VA loan today, they'll give you as much as you can qualify for. Yeah. Anything over $1 million, I'll go into that later. So they give you whatever you qualify for. So I bought that house, and as value went up, I refinanced and I HELOC'd it. So my HELOC right now in Maui is at 1.25. So my mortgage there for $1 million house is only $500. So
Wow.
what that did was it opened up my VA again. You can use your VA as much times. You only can use it as your primary residence. Okay.
Right.
So knowing I was going to move back to Oahu, I bought me another property for almost the same price, $550,000. No down payment. You don't want to use your money, right? No down payment, $550,000. Today it's worth $1.4 million, right? So once again, I refinanced it, I HELOC'd it. Now I have the VA open again, right? So now what I'm trying to do, I have two options. This is what I'm trying to do. It's either one, whichever one is the better deal. I'm looking to buy a 2-acre property in Maui and build multiple dwellings on it to generate more rental income. Once again, rental income, no down payment. Or the other option is, and a lot of people don't know this, you can buy a dwelling with 4 doors, 4 rental incomes with your VA loan. The only thing that you have to do is you have to live in one of those doors, one of those rooms. But you just made 3 streams of income with no down payment. Not only should your rentals cover your mortgage, but you should also be profiting significantly.
Right. And they can use this anytime, especially active duty, right? They can use this every time they move. And they're moving every 3 years, give or take.
That's the beauty of it. Yeah.
Yeah. So they don't realize they have this housing allowance. They can use that VA. And I've met service members who don't just buy one house. They're buying a 4-plex.
Yeah.
They're buying a 4-plex.
Yeah.
They live in one unit and they rent out the other 3. and their housing allowance gives them money to pay the mortgage, but they don't really have a mortgage because they're renting out the rest. And then in 3 years when they move, they're doing it again.
Right.
And they keep doing it. So this is something that they can, because every time they move, they now need a new primary residence. And
But
that's
you
what,
know, well, guess what I'm going to do in the next 3 years? I'm going to refinance, HELOC, and do it all over again. Do I have a million properties, right? So, but there's one thing I got to touch on too. So in the event you're qualified for $1 million, you buy a house for 700,000 with the VA, okay,
Mhm.
and with the VA loan, and then you say we have to move or whatever. You can use the remaining 300,000 to purchase another home. So even if say I live in Maui, but then the service wants me to move back to Oahu, I can use that 300,000 difference to buy me another apartment. So now I have 2 with 1 VA loan.
Right.
Yeah.
It's amazing stuff that they don't realize. I think a lot of people don't realize that they're able to do that, and they can
Yeah.
leverage their benefits to
Mhm.
benefit them, especially in the long run, to be able to have these properties as passive income later when they retire.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't know if we'll ever see the rates go as low as they were,
No,
especially with the HELOCs. But I mean, it's all comparative, right? The rates are really low, the housing goes really high. The rates are really high, the housing drops a little bit. So you still got to
Right.
navigate what those payments are going to look like, regardless of using a VA loan or not. But understanding that you have those benefits there is just, it's priceless. I don't think enough of them really understand how they can use it. I mean, I know, especially in Hawaii, they have so many people living with their families because
Yeah.
housing is so expensive. If these
Yeah.
young soldiers went and used their VA loan to buy, they can turn around and buy a fourplex or a larger home to help their families as well.
So you know what I've noticed? I bumped into people as well where they do multiple soldiers. So there's 4 soldiers, 4 VA loans. They buy a $2 million property. They live in it together. Even combining is stronger as a team, right? And then once they PCS, they sell it and profit that way.
Wow.
Because in Hawaii, 3 to 5 years, that's how it goes here. Normally it's like 5 to 7, but so that's
Yeah.
pretty genius.
That's what I never knew that they were doing it in teaming up. I know spouses that were doing it that way, but to
No,
have
dude.
multiple more than that.
Yeah, there's
That's
a lot
awesome.
of single soldiers out there that do that. Yep.
Where were they before? I haven't even, I going and talking to as many service members as I get to talk to, a lot of them they just don't realize how they can maximize these benefits. It's
Yes.
amazing.
No. Yeah.
Okay, so let's see. We wanted to, well, real quick before I move on, especially for the family members that want to understand, when would one qualify for a VA loan? Like, how do they qualify as a service member?
There's 2 ways to qualify. Either you finish your first contract, which is 6 years, or you get deployed. If you join and you're deployed right after, you already qualify for a VA loan.
Right, which is what a lot of them did years back, and
Yeah.
they got deployed immediately. So having that DD-214 is what they're going to look for. So for the spouses or family members who are trying to understand this, once they get deployed and they have that DD-214, or they complete a full 6 years with their contract.
Mhm.
Okay, let's touch on, because we're at the top of the hour here, but let's touch on their TSP. What is that? What does it look like for them? And then how can they leverage that later?
Okay. I'm not a fan of the TSP, so but TSP anything index that I can't control, I don't like. So but yeah, the TSP there's a lot of stuff with the TSP that you can actually use that I didn't know. What you don't want to do is take it out. Because when you take it out, it's taxed twice, federally, state, and then the penalty, right? There's this. It comes out to about 20% of whatever you took out.
Jeez.
Okay, that's a lot. You don't want to do that. You want to avoid taxes at all costs, right? So the other way is to roll into a self-directed IRA, right? Like we talked about earlier. But you have to be 59 and a half, right? Which I'm not close enough. Maybe Harmony is, but I'm
Not
close.
even.
Okay. So, when you get to that age, you can roll it over later. But what I found out was you can borrow against it, which I knew, but you can borrow against it to purchase a home as well. Right now, the rate I looked that up is 4.25, and how that is, I mean, if you borrow, that's cheaper than the mortgage rates right now, is what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Yeah. So if you have 100,000 sitting in there and you're in Arkansas and you buy a house for 60, right? You could borrow against it, purchase a house. The only requirement is to be your primary residence again.
Right.
Yeah. Or you
And
can
that's-
even just.
But that's
Sorry,
while they're in service. But when they're out of service, what do they do with it?
Good question. So when they're out of service, completely out, which means you're no longer tied to the government, you can also roll it into a self-directed IRA. But if you plan on working for the federal government, you have to leave it in there. The government's going to keep their money there.
Yeah. But at least you can leverage it with borrowing against it, which, that can be huge. I mean, that's like half the rate right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so like, if you buy properties somewhere smaller, like, I don't know, like I said, Arkansas, Kansas City, somewhere cheaper, whatever, you could definitely leverage it and buy more rentals.
Right.
And with that being said, you can pay it back. So if you bought the rental, you lived in it, you sold it, made a profit, you can pay back the loan. It's not like you have to pay the monthly. Yeah.
Right. Which again, definitely refer to their CPA, their tax individuals. Yeah. Their loan officer, whoever they go to for their loan, and really understand how to use it and how to pay it off. Because the goal is to have all of these not contribute to your debts, but to have this and utilize your benefits and leverage them as much as possible. So definitely want to refer to them for them. Okay, so we have on here with the self-directed IRA, we know that you can basically with the self-directed IRA, you can choose ways to invest it. And I have here, so with the self-directed, you can diversify your self-directed IRA, which for us with the fund, that is one way they can use it. With our fund, we are a diverse fund, so we are looking at debt and equity with our fund. It's a lower barrier of entry compared to a lot of funds, but for those who are unfamiliar with accredited and non-accredited individuals, so for someone who became accredited, which a lot of people don't realize that they are accredited, especially if they're in Hawaii and they own property out there, they don't realize it's pretty easy to become accredited if they own more than one property. If you're single, it's income of $200,000 a year. If you're married, it's $300,000 combined. If you are an individual, it's your net worth or joint, your assets should be $1 million. So for you own two, right? You have your Maui property and then now your primary property. So automatically with that Maui property, you would be an accredited investor, not even counting the other things that you do. So, so a lot of people don't realize if they're accredited or non-accredited, why would they even realize it if they're not really investing right now? But for our fund, they would need to be an accredited investor, which a lot of them don't realize that they are. And then they can use their self-directed IRA to do more investing and continue to leverage your benefits. I mean, that's huge. And choosing the right assets and choosing how you want to invest. And you can be diverse. It doesn't have to be with the fund, but there's multiple facets and multiple ways to invest that.
Right. Yeah.
Did I miss anything?
No, I don't think so. Oh, I did miss something. For the VA claims, if you do get, if you do end up getting 100%, you don't pay property tax.
Oh, that's right.
As well. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I hope you guys all get 100% what I'm saying, but if you do, that's one of the benefits. Okay.
It's one of the benefits. Yeah. Yeah. That's huge.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully people can take this and got some little golden nuggets out of it, and they're going to turn around and start thinking twice of how they can leverage their benefits. Because I mean, knowledge is so powerful out there, and utilizing that knowledge to turn around and have passive income later. I mean, you're not even that old and to be
Thank you.
able to to be able to have passive income is huge. I mean, you're living life. I see you on the golf course more than working these days. So
That's the goal. That's the goal. Could be everyone's goal.
but if you haven't noticed, we have these QR codes on here, and this is our contact information to schedule or just reach out to us if you want more information. And if you found this live event or YouTube live event informative and you want to know more, we'll do our best. That's what we're here for, to just share what we learned and how to leverage your knowledge and your assets. So before we sign off, is there anything you want to add or say?
Me?
Yeah. I mean, there's no one else here right now live.
Yeah. No, just thank you for the opportunity to share my experiences and what I've gone through, and hopefully I help some other veterans out there that can make start their journey sooner than I did, and then be on the golf course with me.
Yeah, yes, definitely. And we'll put the information there, and that way if anybody has any questions, because if you follow Matt or if you know Matt, you know that he's also always got something up his sleeve going on. He's always hustling out there trying to find new ways to have more passive income, so he can have more friends on the golf course with him. So
that's it. Yeah,
so definitely reach out and follow us and see what we're up to, and hopefully we'll be sharing and we'll be hearing from you soon. So thank you everyone for joining, and let us know how else we can bring you more value. Love to meet up. Thank you.
Thank you.